So hello everybody, welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about this topic of alignment. So we all have goals, but often our behaviours get in the way of making progress. For instance, we have energy and we go for it, we push through, we end up experiencing strong symptoms. I tend to use the word or description strong symptoms rather than I'm experiencing a crash or a setback or a relapse, because those are perceptions rather than an accurate description of our current experience. We don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know how long it's going to last. But we do know that if we're stressing about it, and if we're using kind of stressful, emotive language, that is just going to put us into more stress. It's going to slow down our recovery. So if you are watching live, do feel free to say hello. Let me know where you are in the world. And if you're watching the replay, just pop hashtag replay. It's always nice to know who is watching. So, sorry, my notes keep doing something strange. Let's just see if I can fix that. Okay, so, all right. So, if that describes you, those patterns, I have energy, push through, I have strong symptoms, I tend to catastrophize and get stressed about it, just let me know in the chat. Put a me in the chat. It's good to kind of know if you're relating to this. And what I'm sharing is shared with love, all right? So be compassionate towards yourself. I'm sharing things that would have helped me when I had ME, CFS. So if you have conditions like ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, then I'm going to explore strategies to help you align with your goals. So Linda says hello from California. Nice to have you with me, Linda. So yeah, if this doesn't resonate with you, that's completely fine. But I've worked with lots of people who find these ideas helpful. Okay, and that's why I'm sharing them with you. So if you don't know me, my name's Simon Pimenta. I had ME, CFS, fibromyalgia for 8-9 years. At one point, I couldn't talk because I was so exhausted. I had to say, just leave me alone, until I had the energy to talk. I couldn't walk for 1 minute at times. Actually, I was in this very house, which is where I grew up, and I was lying upstairs in bed and being unable to come downstairs to see my relations, etc. I went from not being able to do all those things, being very limited, to going back to work again, living my life. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Dubai having a great time. And what really helped me was I took supplements and stuff. They helped to some extent. But what really helped me was learning mind-body approaches, including brain training, which helped me rewire my brain. And what I found most helpful were strategies that helped me learn how to develop emotional intelligence and practical strategies. Okay, just to be clear, these conditions I've mentioned, ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, they're all very real physical conditions, but we know that our mind influences our body. So I share lots of content around exploring mind-body approaches, okay? I create lots of videos, free resources to help you move towards your goals. So do check out my YouTube channel. I've created lots of playlists on different topics. Anyway, let's get into today's topic, talking about how alignment can support healing. I do want to acknowledge a psychologist called Corey Muscara. I watched a video of his where he talks about alignment, and it inspired me to create this video. So what is alignment? Alignment means that your goals, intentions, and actions are all working together in harmony. It's like rowing a boat. If one arm is pulling in front of the other one, then you haven't got that synchronicity. And that can end, if one arm is stronger than the other, you can end up going in circles. When you're in alignment, everything is moving in the same direction. When you watch a team of rowers all working together. There's a kind of beautiful symphony going on. You're not fighting yourself. Now, of course, we're all human and we don't always operate in this way. And that's why it's really important to have radical levels of self-compassion. So what's going on when we're not in alignment? It's useful to understand that. So sometimes we want healing, we want to make progress, we want more energy, we want recovery, because we're experiencing symptoms, we're experiencing a lack of energy, we're experiencing a limited life. Unfortunately, though, our behaviours, our nervous system reactions, or old patterns are putting us out of sync with our goals. This isn't because we're doing something wrong necessarily. It's usually a protective mechanism and a subconscious habit. So, for example, if you get triggered by someone, that can put your body in a state of agitation, a state of stress that hinders your body's attempts to heal. But it is a protective mechanism. It is a way of your emotional brain communicating that there's this something not okay about this interaction, and it requires your attention. Okay, so this is something I teach people in something called the Mind-Body Reconnect. But I suspect you've had many experiences of that, where something just didn't feel right. Sometimes you might not have taken appropriate action and you were left with that kind of stuck emotion in your body and it drained your energy. Other times you did take action and you noticed a shift in your energy. You felt good, you felt energized. Let me know if you recognize that that's true. Just put a yes in the chat if you recognize those two things. Sometimes you haven't listened to your body, you haven't taken appropriate action, and there's been kind of payback from that. Other times you have, and you felt better for it. Just let me know in the chat. And if you just join me, feel free to say hello. So let's give you a couple examples of that. Yeah, and actually the other thing is, at some level, often subconsciously, we have a belief that these behaviours that are getting in the way of recovery will help us feel good about ourselves. Let me give you a couple examples of that. Number one, let's say you're having a good day, you're feeling energy, and then that results in you pushing through, that results in symptoms. I did this many times. I, at one point, went through this pattern of waking up, feeling really rubbish. By the afternoon, I started feeling better. And so I would just do too much, and then I'd end up feeling rubbish in the morning again. All right? So let's say you're feeling good. Your goal is, actually, I want sustainable energy and healing. But the behavior is, I feel good, so I'm going to do everything that I've been putting off. And the result is I generate symptoms, reinforcing that boom and bust cycle. So that's an example of where we're not aligned with our goal. If the goal is sustainable energy to support healing, but the behavior is based on fear of missing this window. Some people have the belief that they only deserve to rest when they've got everything done or when they're completely exhausted. Okay, that is not a sustainable approach to energy and healing. Okay, it's not that the desire to get things done is wrong. It's just the way we're doing it is overriding our body's signals. Another example, so we're experiencing symptoms and we start generating anxiety, stress, and fear. The goal is I want to just allow my body to recharge and feel safe in my body. But the behavior is I get scared, I catastrophize, I get frustrated with myself because I did this again, I overdid it. I'm angry with myself for being in another kind of dip. The result is that stress response keeps the body in fight, flight, or freeze, making recovery slower. As I say, it's completely understandable if you do this, and therefore we need that self-compassion. But again, this is an example where we're not aligned. We want the healing, but our nervous system is activated. And that uses up a lot of energy, okay? Stress hormones are flooding the body, and it's not that you want them to be there, but it's that your mind is fighting with your reality. And your brain's response is to activate that sympathetic arousal state. It's as if it's a way of fixing or controlling the situation. So when we experience symptoms, when we get into resistance, this isn't how I want things. This isn't how things should be. Maybe sometimes we're feeling pressure from the expectations of others. They're feeling we're not recovering quickly enough, we're not doing the right things. We can get stuck in a loop. So, we start activating that stress kind of thinking. We feel stuck, we feel frustrated, we feel kind of limited in our ability to influence things. That makes us feel hopeless, and it just exacerbates that sense of feeling stuck. So sometimes people say to me, I'm sick of being sick. I've been dealing with this for 20 years, okay? And I don't feel like I've made any change. I always question that. I say, is it actually true that you haven't made any change? Okay, and we'll talk about that in a bit more depth. So let's look at some solutions. How do we get into a state of alignment? So I want to share, I think I've got about 6 strategies. All right, so the first one is to ask the question, how do I want to be with this experience? Okay, consider that what we resist persists. Okay, so step 2 is to connect to your body. So we want to cultivate a sense of presence, being present in the moment. When we do that, when we do that, then it's possible that we can see the potential for healing. And that gives us a sense of hope. And so we shift out of stuckness into that sense that it is possible to make progress. And so this comes from making that shift from being in our head to connecting to our body, connecting to our heart. That's where we have the compassion, connecting to our physical body depicted by that circle. And when we do that, we kind of connecting to that wise part of us. And when we do that, we can actually create. I think I skipped. I don't know why I missed a slide, but there was a slide that is indicating that we're connecting to that wise part. So instead of having fear-based thoughts, we're generating trust. Okay, so consider the serenity prayer. Grant me the courage to change the things I can. Am I messing this up? Grant me the wisdom to accept the things I cannot. Hang on, I think I've got that wrong. Serenity prayer. Grant me the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. I thought I knew it. I can't remember it, but you get the idea. Okay. Consider, can I be with this part of me that is feeling those things? Can I take care of that part of me that's feeling scared? Can I connect to that wise part of me to help me make space for that part that is feeling those feelings of anxiety? I have talked about this in other videos, so I won't go into it in too much depth. I talked about it in the interview I did with Raylan Eagle. I'll link that video below this if you want to watch it. Okay, so instead of being kind of victim in this situation, and I mean that in a very compassionate way, can I be witness to that experience? Okay. The third thing is to examine our beliefs. So this notion, nothing is shifting, requires honest examination. It's important to consider, have I been stuck in that loop of frustration, upset, etc., which is just keeping me stuck? Okay? Have I just been going round in that loop many times? Okay. My experience is when I chat to people and get them to reflect on that, they often say, yeah, golly, I have been doing that a lot. And obviously, the goal, we are always going to err. That's just part of human. But ideally, instead of spending a lot of time in that activated state or in a state of freeze, we want to be able to shift more and more into that state of regulation. So it's useful to consider that actually things don't stay the same. Nothing is permanent. Symptoms, sensations, emotions, thoughts, even those hamburgers created by a certain company with a Scottish name changes. And I say that because there's this video that compares, I think, a piece of meat with a burger from one of the chains, and it took much longer to decompose than the meat. But even that burger will decompose over time. All right. So are you reminding yourself that this is temporary? Okay. And sometimes we forget when we're in the midst of symptoms that we forget because when we're in that stress state, that activates the part of the brain that is reactive and emotional. So we forget this will pass. I did that many times. I was stressing about symptoms and I was like a goldfish. I'd forgot that many times I've experienced this and I did come out of it. And I can make that recovery quicker by taking care of the part of me that's scared, soothing it, listening to it, so that I can actually get into that regulated state. Fourth point, are you shifting your mindset? This is essential to support healing. So if things are staying the same, are you really making that shift to being present? Are you making the shift from impatience to patience, from turmoil to a sense of peace, from being serious and kind of having clenched fists about your situation to a sense of playfulness? Are you shifting from control, again, this kind of clenched fist concept, to being pragmatic? Okay, I've overdone it. I'm human. These things happen. It's okay. My body has incredible healing powers. Okay? My body has incredible wisdom. Can we make that shift from ruminating on things to being present? Okay? Can we shift from reactivity to proactivity? From resistance to acceptance? From self-criticism to compassion? From feeling overwhelmed, feeling fearful, feeling scared, to embracing courage? Courage is not about not having fear, but it's about still being prepared to take action. Okay? And ultimately, can we make that shift from fear to trust? I talk about this equation, E plus R equals O, where E is the event, R is the response, O is the outcome. And actually how we respond to the event depends on how we perceive the event. So if you see symptoms as bad, then you're going to generate stress. If you see symptoms as just part of the natural healing cycle, it's a little signal that we need to consider what we can learn from it and what action we can take, then that's a very different way of responding to the event, and that's going to affect the outcome. So the fifth point is, can I change this? Yes or no? If in the moment I'm experiencing strong symptoms, I might not be able to change it in this moment, but I know that actually if I do what I've just been talking about, embracing those shifts, then that can help my body heal. If I am saying to myself, no, I can't change this, we need to consider, is that correct? Because often I see people making the mistake of saying these conditions are real physical conditions and therefore mind-body approaches are not relevant. Remember, we're not saying it's all in the mind. We're saying these are real physical conditions. But it's wrong to think that the mind can't influence the body. We know that that is the case. It's irrefutable. There's lots of evidence of that. If I am 100% sure that I am correct, that I can't shift this experience, then we can either resist or accept. Okay? And I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. Byron Katie says, when we resist, we lose, but only 100% of the time. So point 6 is around meeting your needs. When we don't meet our needs, we're more likely to go off track. I made a video this where I talked about the fact that I used to be at one point super strict with myself about, focusing on recovery. And I was a bit too rigid. And then at a certain point, there was another part of me that would rebel and just do what the heck I liked. All right. And what I realized is I needed to find a better balance rather than going from one extreme to the other, being really strict and then really chaotic and doing what the heck I liked. I needed to find a more balance to meet my needs. And I could do that in really small ways. Again, I've talked about this before. Instead of not picking up my guitar at all, I could pick my guitar up and just play it for 5 minutes every day. And that meant I didn't pick it up once in a while and then not want to stop. All right. So I'd love to know kind of what's resonated with you. What do you think? Oh, actually, yeah, that describes me. And I want to finish with a few tips for what alignment looks like. But let me know in the chat. So alignment looks like listening to your body instead of overriding it. It looks like slowing down when things feel good instead of speeding up. Okay, having that sense of trust that by just going at your authentic pace rather than I must do this and I must do this now, then that ultimately is you're investing in your future. You're putting energy in your energy bank. Okay? Alignment looks like offering compassion if you're experiencing strong symptoms rather than judgment. And acting from a place of regulation, not from fear or pressure. I invite you to gently ask yourself, is this action that I'm considering taking coming from a place of alignment, of what I really need and value, or from fear, urgency, habit? So Linda says, I appreciate the reminders to be present and accepting. So thanks for sharing that, Linda. So a reminder, being out of alignment doesn't mean you're failing. It's a signal. Symptoms are a signal that something needs to shift. When we say, I can't go on like this, that's true. I believe, we do need to make some changes. I used to work in mental health and people who were depressed were saying, I can't go on like this. And I'd say, yes, that's absolutely right. There's something that needs to shift, okay? I would suggest that when we're out of alignment, it's an invitation to pause, to get curious, to really connect with your deeper, wise self, to pause, to cultivate that sense of trust in your body. So, let's just check the time. We could finish with a very brief relaxation if you'd like that. Just put a yes in the chat. Take a quick swig of water. As I say, do feel free to say hello and leave a comment. Helps other people find the video. If you like this video, do share it. If you would like more tips, you're welcome to join my Facebook group. I post something every day to help you move forward. You're welcome to join the Resilience Group Coaching. That happens twice a month. It's happening next week, and there's no charge for that. You are welcome to make a donation. Lynn says, yes, do a quick relaxation. So let's do that. And if you want more help, I'm happy to have a free chat with you. If you'd like to know more about the Mind Body Reconnect that I mentioned, comment PDF and I'll share a PDF which explains that approach, and a very short video which will give you more insights. People have said to me they found that reading the PDF and watching the video gave them insights into what can help them. Okay, so all right, let's pause there. I invite you to either close your eyes or soften your gaze. Obviously only close your eyes if it's safe to do so. I invite you just to take a breath. Joe says thank you. You are very welcome, Joe. Nice to have you with us. Nice to have you all with me. Thank you for coming, all of you who came. So I invite you just to take a breath, breathing in through your nose as long as that's comfortable, into your belly, breathing out of your nose. And as you breathe in and out, just allowing your mind, your body, your physiology to relax, soften, and let go. I invite you to consider that you can pause throughout the day and just tune in to your body, noticing the sensations in your body, considering that they are a signal. And you can learn to tune in to those signals, sensations in your body and emotions. You can learn to process those signals. And you can learn to take appropriate action that helps you meet your needs. You can make all those shifts that I talked about, including shifting to more patience, peacefulness, playfulness, pragmatism, presence, acceptance, discerning what's appropriate on a moment-by-moment basis, cultivating more calm, compassion, courage, and trust. I invite you to consider that those pauses are a bit like course correcting if you're sailing a boat. Realizing that you're slightly off track, just pausing, looking at your compass and just gently changing your direction, adjusting your course. So if you like, you can just carry on in that relaxed state with your eyes closed, and when you're ready you can bring yourself back. So thanks for watching. As I say, let me know what your takeaway is. Love to know. It's always useful to get feedback. If you've got a topic you'd like me to talk about, again, let me know. Keep going. Dare to dream big dreams. Wishing you great health always. See you in the next video. Bye for now.